D. Denise Gomez, and I have exciting interview segments and features inside the zone. For recording artists, you can sing? Well, Inside the Zone, second Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. is for you. Writers, share your story, no man, in From the Author's Zone on third Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. Male Zone has unbelievably juicy stories of love, heartbreak, and triumph. 7 p.m. has never been this good. On Mondays, it's news, talk, engaging features at 7 in the Monday Drive. And Center Stage has everyone talking on Thursdays. Be a part of the show. Email me insidethezone@gmail.com or call me 914-304-2592. For 2 days, the 5 o'clock hour is hot on Fit FM 96.7, www.fitfmja.com. Your life, your music with Lady D Denise Gomez inside the zone. Catch me on Monday at 5 p.m. for the Monday Drive, keeping you in the know in the city you walk, drive, and reside. And on Friday, yes, at 5 p.m. for Center Stage, the platform where voices are heard and people connect. From abroad to yard, Trelawney. Change the atmosphere of your worship experience with Creative House LED Video Wall. Financing is available. Easy monthly payments, $0 down, 3-year warranty, and 24/7 customer service. We provide you with high quality, high refresh rate, and stable LED screens. Call Creative House at 914-510-4546. That's 914-510-4546. Or visit our website at www.cre8ivehouse.us. It's a celebration. What is it? International Men's Day. When is it? Sunday, November 19. But on Saturday, November 18 at 10 a.m., a distinguished panel of men will join us on Satideh Mawnin Runnings to discuss men's positive contributions to society in family, business, marriage, community, the environment, and other related topics. A Satideh Mawnin Runnings. Come, make we talk.
Well, let's see the time, 8 minutes after 10 o'clock. It's Satideh Mawnin Runnings. Welcome, everyone, to another feature of the show, aired on Inside the Zone with yours truly, Lady D Denise Gomez. Today is a very special day, because we do have guests' appearances on the show, and it promises to be a great morning. We have Michael Nelson, and we have our very own Pastor Glad Johnson from NTT. So it's a pleasure, and I'm expecting another guest to arrive. So, hey, it's Saturday, and we'll be talking about men, the positive, and there are some pitfalls, but what is most important to men? What we don't know? How impactful are they? Because sometimes in the media sphere of things, we see the negative side of our men. And of course, we know that's not the full gamut of who they are. So we want to talk this morning. And, this show is not scripted. So whatever we discuss, it just flows out of us. So it's a pleasure welcoming you, Pastor Glad and Michael. How do? Please unmute yourselves.
Welcome, gentlemen.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. Good to see you.
Feeling good. Good to be a man.
I love that.
Good to be on Saturday
Nice,
morning.
nice.
Good to be on Saturday morning.
I like that.
Saturday morning.
Good to
I
have
love
you
that.
here.
Love that. So Jackson and Sherns, how are you both?
Ah,
Yes,
my my
exactly. I
week,
was about to do one of that too. Was a
my
rough week.
week, my week was the first week back at school for the final semester, and it started with a bang. I tell you, I have to be in school from Monday to Friday now,
Oh,
and clinical days are included, and those are like 8 9 hour days, and it's just heavy. So just keep me in your prayers.
yes,
Oh
yes,
God.
as always. So Pastor Glad, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing well, yes,
Mm-hmm. Good to
and
see you.
appreciate the opportunity to come on this
Yes.
platform.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I've been uh, supporting and encouraging behind the scenes. So I'm happy to be here with you this morning.
Yes, thank you so much.
Nice,
And
nice.
Michael, what say you?
It's good. Also, we're glad and honored to be invited to come on this show and
Have you
share
ever
with
seen the
you.
show, Michael? Have
You
you ever
know,
watched?
I've known that Lady D that I've known about this show. I've not actually seen the show before. I know Lady D does this show, but it's
Oh,
my first time being on and viewing. So, but it won't be my last.
okay.
And you
Good.
can, and for us,
Good.
you can go
Good.
back and watch the past shows
Yes.
because they're not always what do you call it? Very business like. We're mostly funny. You get a lot of laughs and stuff. So
That's
it's
great.
a good watch. So you can
Yeah.
always go back and watch.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, yes. And be a subscriber. And
I'm
share.
already subscribed. So
Wonderful.
Good.
Thank you. Of course, we have an interactive platform here, and customarily we say hi to our audience and we post their comments and so on. And this morning, first in line is Andrea. I've known Andrea for several years.
Hi,
We
Andrea.
went to church together, and so she lives in Barbados. Now, then there is Herman, the very comical one.
Hey, Herman and Andrea. Good morning, both
There's
of
also
you.
Vero. I know
Vero.
Vero from Jamaica. And Charlesy. Charlesy is with us too. She says, "Good morning, family. Happy Thanksgiving. It's around the corner
Oh
there,
yeah, that's true.
Charlesy."
right.
And
Mhm.
Margaret is no longer a stranger. So she says, "Good
Good
morning,
morning,
ladies,
ladies.
Good
and
morning,
plenty men.
Margaret.
And plenty
And
men."
plenty men.
So, Margaret, share with all the plenty men that you know so that they can come on over and chat with us this morning. And yeah, we're just saying good morning. Please, as always, share with at least 5 persons and let them know Saturday morning runnings, day, and we're ready to roll. Tomorrow is International Men's Day, and we thought it's so appropriate to invite men to the platform. We have done so in the past, but here is a very significant day on the nation's calendar, world's calendar, and we thought, why not invite men to the show this morning, hear their voices, because your roles are um, varied, of course. We refer to you as the lead of us. You're our covering. We refer to you as the breadwinners, the one who demonstrates you know discipline in the home. And of course there is what is most important, respect to our men. And we realize that at some point in time that has shifted for a lot of reasons. Women have found themselves in a situation where they have to be parenting their children. And while we may say that, a woman is doing dual roles, she can only do what she's created to do. She really
Mhm.
can't do the role of the male. And then you have those who say men are not visible enough. So there are a myriad of discussions that we have had over the years, but we want to hear the voices of men. You are positive role models, influential men, and I know that
Mhm.
you mentor so many in your lifetime. And we would like to hear and for you to dispel some of the myths that are out there about our men this morning. So it's a free flowing conversation. I perhaps should just throw out there to ask you, what is your take on International Men's Day? Because you live your lives as men every day, but here it is on the calendar for one day.
Mhm.
Is it? What does that mean to you? Who would like to go first?
Well, I'll go first, no problem. You know, our culture and our society selects certain days to honor our people. For example, we have a Mother's Day, Father's
Mhm.
Day. There, I think there are days, for example, for
Women's Day.
women's, our children. We honor our children. So I think it's a good thing. To be honest, I never knew there was an International Men's Day until you brought it to my attention, Lady D. So obviously, it doesn't really have a high profile in our culture,
Impact. Mm.
um, but it's very good to know that it does exist, and I believe it should be promoted more so that we can have the conversation. As you say, most of what we see in the media about men, it's negative, but there is the positive side too, and I think education will help us to balance things out as it relates to who we are as men, how ideally we're supposed to relate to each other and play our roles. And so I hope we can get into some of that.
Yes, thanks, Pastor Glad. And Michael, what's your take?
Yeah, I think it's a great thing, and similarly to Pastor Glad. Before the topic of the show was brought to me, I didn't know there was a international Men's Day, and so I, I I'm a teacher, and we celebrate lots of days and months in school, Women's History Month, and all sorts of celebrations. And this is one that's maybe not as widespread. And I think because of history, and ways in which people talk about patriarchy, and ways that maybe men have had power and influence, and women haven't. Society has forgotten to uplift and to speak on and to congratulate men. And I think it's a good thing to do. While yes, men do, can do more and maybe even better to for women. It's still a great thing, an important thing to do for men. And so it's great. It feels great to be featured, and it feels great to know that this exists. And when days like this come, it's good to highlight men, so you can highlight the great things, but also
Mhm.
talk about the things men are challenged with as well. So
Yeah.
that's important.
Thank you
And
so much. Mhm.
one
Yeah,
of
and if
the
I were to if I were to, I'm sorry, Jackie.
go ahead. Go ahead.
You want to go ahead, Jackie?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll say it after.
Yeah, it's unfortunately it has not had a lot of fanfare. It actually started in the recognition of International Men's Day started in 1999, so it's been a while,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and it's celebrated in over 80 countries. And okay, there's some interference. Yeah, it's currently being celebrated in over 80 countries. uh I was very a little surprised. It started in Trinidad and Tobago
Mm.
in 1999 by a Dr. Jerome Tulok Singh, who did it to commemorate his father's birthday. But it has evolved into international uh, fame or influence. And so over 80 countries, Norway, Pakistan, Cayman Islands, the US, Jamaica, India, to name a few places, recognized International Men's Day. And I do believe that we need to, or it should be more, it should be featured more than it is. Because if we have had two of our men say they've never heard of it
Heard
before,
of it.
yeah, unfortunately, I think a lot of the holidays are commercialized, and so they're given a huge platform and a big fanfare. But we need to somehow get Men's Day to be more recognized because
Mhm.
it's been a while. 1999 is, from the
It's a long
inception.
time. Mm.
It's a long time. So
Mhm.
whatever it needs to happen,
Mm,
it should be more put out there and become
mm,
something that if we look forward to, because they have a theme and everything. This year the theme is zero male suicide, so
Mhm.
they're kind of trying to highlight the importance of mental health among men and boys. So it's a worthy
mhm.
cause, and a spotlight should be put on the day, I think.
And that's
Yeah.
one of the highest suicide groups, men in society. A lot of people don't know. One thing that you said that I personally didn't know that was started in Trinidad and Tobago. Maybe I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't want to be biased, but maybe if it had started in the U.S., maybe it would be more recognized. But because it started in a little Caribbean island, I don't know. I don't want to say that's the reason why. But I also
Mhm.
think that the same way women embrace Mother's Day and Women's Day and we make it a big thing, a lot of men really know about it, but they don't really care to make it a fanfare or celebrate it. So they don't embrace it. They
Mhm.
just, it's Men's Day. All right.
Yeah,
But
but
we know,
you know
we
what
take it
too,
on.
women. Yeah, women are organizers, by nature, I
By
think.
nature,
And so
yes.
Right,
women will get on a soapbox and make a big announcement and gather up the sisters and say we're gonna do this and that and we're gonna
right.
wear,
Yes.
whatever. While men will take things in stride. Or men, if I'm wrong, gentlemen, one of you correct me. But I think men would more sit back and say, let's see what they're going to do for us.
For us,
Because
right.
after all,
I was going to go
men,
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, men do a lot for women. When Mother's Day come around and Valentine's Day or
Mhm.
breast cancer awareness month and things of that nature, the men are there to support. So I think that they probably are on the sidelines saying, well, okay, let's see what can be done for us. But if we could organize and galvanize men into, because the emphasis during this time is based on whatever affects men. So whether you want to gather
Hmm.
your buddies and do a fishing trip, if that's your
Your
kind of
thing.
thing, or a sporting event, or have a
Mhm.
blood drive, or some kind of event to make the day become popular, is something I
Hmm.
think should be explored.
Yes. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you for your comments, everyone. We do have Eaton Burke. He's a good friend of ours and a deacon at our church, New Testament Temple. So welcome, Eaton.
Hi, Ethan.
Hey, Praise, it's good to be here.
Yeah, good to
Good
have
Good to
morning.
see you. Good
good
to
to
see
have
you.
you. So the question we were asking, which Pastor Glad and Michael gave their response already, is what's your take on International Men's Day, which will be celebrated tomorrow? And the fact that we invited you, it means, you are of influence in your own right. So what's your take on this?
Well, first of all, let me apologize for my late coming on. For some reason, my internet just wouldn't let me through.
Okay.
Um, Secondly, International Men's Day. It's funny. Jackie and Church said something earlier. They said, it's a whole fanfare when we hear Women's Day or Mother's Day.
Hmm.
And yes, women are great organizers, and because of that, yes, we know that it's a big thing with women. But most of the time, as someone said, is that men uh, acknowledge Women's Day, because I think majority of men acknowledge and respect the women in their lives or around them. I don't know if the same thing is said, it can be said about the women, how they support the men.
Mm.
But really, my thing, and my thing for Men's Day It's funny. Just last week, my son and I had a conversation. The conversation is about and someone alluded to it, that men has the highest rate of
Suicide.
suicide.
Yeah.
Is that it's emotional intelligence, and it's so we're trying. For me, for Men's Day is what I'd like to see emphasized, and I think we can talk about it later on. But that is from my concept of what Men's Day should be, is
Mm-hmm.
looking up the problems, especially emotional problems of men, and how our society and the way we have been socialized to think and to act, and it manifests itself in the high rate of
Suicide.
suicide and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So
Pastor
that is
Glad,
something I'd really love to express.
Yeah.
thanks, Eton. So, Pastor Glad, from a pastoral, perspective, how do you see men being pulled, lured into making themselves more visible, more centered as a person, and understanding their roles?
Yeah. But my response to that would be that the main reason why men are not more active in their roles is because you have to understand how men think. We are, we're like warriors, if I may use that analogy. We are leaders, and whenever we go into a setting, we're looking for an opportunity to express our gifts and our talents without not having to compete. And when I say compete here, I mean or displace anybody else to do that. And so that works so well. For example, in the military, I spent 20 years in the U.S. Air Force, and I went in there when I was 18, and I was promoted 6, 7 times up the ranks. Each level that I went, I was able to express my my authority and responsibility without being a threat or competing uh, with anyone. In other words, yes, we because the organization is so structured
Mm-hmm.
that at every level it gives you responsibility and authority, so you can self-actualize. In church, for example, it's very difficult. The average man walks into a church, and what he sees, he say, uh, there's only one
Women.
powerful, all women, and there's only one powerful man in this church. And if I'm going to find my place, I'm going to have to depose him. And I'm not into that. So I might as well just stay home. So believe it or not, that's one of the reasons why many times men don't go to church and that stuff, right? But yet in our church, the men will come and play dominoes in the back room all night
Right.
because we get to express that side of us
Yes.
and project our power, our authority, and we do it in a game, though, right? It's a game, but the reality of it that our society, especially if we're talking about our Caribbean roots and or Black, we need to pay closer attention to how we structure things so that men can function effectively.
May I ask a question
Yes.
too? Have we as women become too domineering, do you think? That the way that it's imposing on the men's mental state and their abilities? Have we
I'll,
become?
I'll answer that based on how I was brought up by my grandparents, my grandmother and grandfather. My grandmother was a, was like a tyrant. She ran the roost. She was very,
Strong.
yes, strong. My grandfather, but he had the authority. And here's how it worked. She would go crazy and she would whip me when I did wrong and all of that stuff. And he would observe. And when she went too far, he would say, she called him Boogs. He called her Boogs. Boogs, leave the boy alone. And every time he pulled her out, she backed off.
Mm-hmm.
Argued with him. She never disrespect him, but she backed off, which means she showed respect for
Respect. Yes.
his
Mm-hmm.
authority.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then
Mhm.
she he would come over and say, "Boy, you must be you must obey your grandmother, you know."
Mm-hmm.
And soon she get back to her thing.
Herself.
But the point that I'm
Yeah,
trying to make here, she never disrespected that man when he stepped in and said, "Boogs, back off."
she
She
did.
she respected him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is the key little element because us men, we love strong women. We like to see our women, uh,
Mm-hmm.
but we want to make sure that in the midst of your strong and that we feel that you still respect us.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So, Michael, thank you, Pastor Glad. So, Michael, you are a teacher and youth mentor.
Mhm.
I'm sure you have to deal with so many different personalities and tendencies and so on.
Mhm.
What's your take in that world?
Well, Pastor Glad, and Eaton and everybody is saying so many wonderful things, and when I hear about this and talk about this, I've heard so much in the media, of late, where they talk about how society and culture is changing, and they talk about, there are books that are being written about, you know, are men necessary in this world, and
Oh
men,
wow.
yeah,
Really?
and the statistics are they're not great, right? You see, if we're talking about school, women, especially black women, are excelling, and that's wonderful. They're black women have the most advanced degrees in the nation, right? They have the highest rate of getting bachelor's degrees and masters and
PhDs and
further on. But
Mhm.
boys and men generally, they're leaving school in droves, and it's starting in school, and they talk about the school to prison pipeline, and if you don't learn how to read by third or fourth grade, and all of those different things, and because boys are slipping through the cracks, um, they're not finding purpose in society,
Mhm.
and then they're not being pushed to figure out what they want to do. I mean, and it's little things, right? Like, you in so many ways, like, I can find an app to do everything that I need to do, right? And so
Mhm.
it's like, where is it needed? Before, it's like
Yeah.
you might send your husband or your son to go get something, right? And now I can have it delivered to me.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And so men are struggling, and they're trying to find, like, why am I necessary in a society where everything can be made easy for me, and men maybe used to do the hard things.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they needed? and
Yeah.
and I try to instill in my students that, you know and it's important. It's a challenge to men, right? If of course it's a difficult world, and you still need a man's strength and courage and leadership, but in a world where maybe it's becoming less about brawn, right? And what do you offer, right? How can you still be a man, right? Someone who's a visionary, someone who's a leader, someone who God can use and speak to help others, right? And still be a caring individual.
Mhm.
Still be, because I think things are, pendulum is swinging, and maybe it's swinging too far, but people, society's been, sick of it. You think about war, right? Ukraine and Russia. You have all these men who are in charge of these nations, and they're fighting. And people,
Mhm.
in some ways, people are sick of kind of that narrative, and and maybe they swing it too far to the other end, and all the things that make men good, they want to take away. But um, men are caring, they're loving, they're protectors, they're providers, nurturers. Just like Pastor Glad's story, like
Mhm.
that man was setting order within the house, and that's we need that. We need that, and men have to return to they have to
Right.
go back, but also go forward. How can we be men in this new world, new society.
And who wants to pick up on that? Because that's a perfect segue for another conversation.
Ethan.
Well, let me interject here. Well, I'm going to look at it from a different angle. I think the breakdown starts from our family structure. And listen to me, is that I'm going to say something that when I say it among my male peers, they sometimes come at me. Men have relinquished their responsibilities. Listen to me, follow me. You see, as Pastor Glad alluded, he came out of a family where his grandfather, he has his authority. Mom was the one who run the roost. All right, fine. You see what happened? Grandfather provided. He held the responsibilities as a man. And because of that, his woman respected him. See, this is where we have gone back. Male, has failed to carry their responsibilities. Now, I know of a case of a man in the house with his children, and as much as he's in the house, he's an absentee father. It's the woman who take care of the child, lunch money, school fee. Now, let's be honest. She's not going to give him the respect that he deserves.
Right.
It's true.
Until man take back their responsibilities, then women not going to see them as necessary as they should be. See, watch this. It's a situation that we have a family, or we have something that somebody has to take charge of. So we blame it all the while that the women are taking over. But listen, let's take the simple family. Somebody has to take charge. And if the man isn't doing it, then who left to do it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
To hold the family together.
Exactly, because somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
Now, here is a boy growing up, and he doesn't see his father living up to what he's the responsibility. So, no, nothing is being passed on. And if a girl is in the house, she's growing up with no respect for a man either.
True.
I have seen, and I can tell you because I have a family now that I work with, and that is the biggest problem with the family. So here is it that we are talking about, man. My brother doesn't talk about men's probably seeing that their relevance, but we have made ourselves irrelevant. It is us who have done that. So here is it. So we have brothers who are getting the ladies impregnated and leave. We standing up to that responsibility. Boys are left to roam the street. No role model, nobody to give them any guidance. So we got to go back to the family structure, and that's just exactly where it is. It's the atom of society, the simplest form, the nucleus of any society. And if we go back to visiting the family structure, then we see answers to a lot of our problems. I want to give you one example before I go. I have a friend who she was a single mother of one boy. And she was all constantly saying to the father, you need to take your son, have time with him. We are not together anymore, but you need to play an active role in your son's life. No, he only think that if he send the money, it would be good. I won't tell you what happened. That boy grew up with his mother, his grandmother, and an aunt. And one day she went in the bathroom and caught him. You know what he was doing?
Putting on her makeup?
No. He wanted to pee, and he was stooping.
I was gonna say that that was gonna be my guess, but then I said no, it's kind of crass.
No, it is. He was stooping.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she called him immediately. She said, you know what, I'm going to tell you though, by the evening he was there. But what I'm saying to us is that it's a family structure. We have broken it down. Men have relinquished their responsibility. And because we have relinquished our responsibility, we are not being seen as relevant.
Pastor God, you have something to say on that?
Yes, I agree with you, Ethan, 100%. However, what you're speaking there is the ideal. It would be ideal if we could go back and every man would become a responsible man. But you'd have to go back all the way to the first man, Adam, who sinned and caused sin to come into the world and threw everything out of line. So everything was thrown out of line for there. But I believe that we can. There are some stopgap measures that we can take, and so I'd like to tell this. Number one, um, uh, those mothers who have to be raising their sons by themselves. That's why we have the church, and you have to try to find another male figure that can fill the gap of that father isn't there. And I tell you one of the main reasons. If the thing that damaged a young boy growing up more than anything else is fussing with him. Men, boys don't. It damages them.
That's true.
They have to be given authority. All right. So I raised 2 girls and 1 boy. When my daughter is giving trouble to her mother, I take her and I put her on my lap and I ask her, "Sweet honey, what's going on?" By the time I put her on my lap and start questioning, she start to cry. Yeah?
Right.
But that don't work with the boy. I have to get to him and say, "Boy, get in your room and make it up." No. That's what works with him. Fussing damages him. What's wrong with you? How much time I need to tell you if you're going to do that over and over? That doesn't work. So the point I'm making here, even though the system is broken,
Guilty.
huh?
We had a confession.
You're giving up yourself, Jackie. Yeah.
I like to see things a certain way, and I will get fussy when it doesn't do it. You need to do this, and I keep going. And then I said, "No, this can't be good." It's me guilty.
Don't fuss with him. Order him to go do it.
Yes.
I do.
All right.
Can I jump in, Pastor Glenn?
Yeah.
This is right. I teach at an all boys school, right? And I've taught predominantly in co-educational spaces, and progressive to traditional, right? The ones who are more loosey goosey and the ones who are more regimented in the rules. And in a lot of those spaces, it's a lot of conversation and explaining how and why and lots of feelings and all of that, and those things are there. There's a place for those things. But what I'm realizing and learning that working with boys at a boys' school, they need to hear it direct.
Yes.
They got to hear it direct. That this is what I expect. And can you do this now? Yes or no. It's simple, few words, right? And clear parameters, and that's what helps them feel safe and know what they're supposed. And not that they won't push the boundaries, because boys do that. But when you can still present a clear, steady, rock solid foundation, they push the boundaries and know where the boundary is, and they feel safe. They can feel safe and grow well inside a boundary. So
right, because I grew up in a community where you had a lot of homemakers. So the women stayed home. The younger generation, they would have been in transition from moving from high school into college and university and so on. And the men, most of them were farmers. But somehow each household, you knew that this was Miss Ruby and Mr. Thomas, my grandparents, or you knew that next door was Deacon and Sister Johnson, who were our neighbors, Miss Linny and Miss Babsy across the road. But each household, you knew there was a man present in there, and their roles were clearly defined.
They were active.
Right. So he went out in the days, did his farming work, come back home. She's home tending to house. So she make dinner. And we used to laugh at one of a particular family that, when the meal is put on the table, the Pyrex dish come out. So I observed and learned early how to set table. You know, you go to
Mm-hmm.
your neighbor house, because me tell everybody me used to walk boat. So me go to one house and I saw how the Pyrex put out. Not only that, if it was one chicken, he would get the breast, the leg, and so on. And me used to
Yes.
say then where everybody else are go eat. But
Yes.
in principle, she knew that he needed to be cared for. He went out all day. She made
Yeah.
sure his dinner was ready, and the children knew their role.
Right.
Everybody. So, in that community, I saw men. And if a boy is up the street doing something out of line, the quickest response by somebody who knew him was that, no, make me pass my so and so gate before you reach home.
Yeah.
Right? So they
Or if they say I'm gonna
exercise.
tell your father. If them say me I
Amen.
gonna tell your father or your grandfather, then they straighten up right away because they
Same
know
way.
the authority.
My point exactly. And I tell people that I was a very busy little girl. I would ride a bicycle, do all kind of stuff. And if anybody see me, they would say, may I pass Miss Ruby gate? Which means me better fly home fast before they pass the gate. So
Yes.
some of those principles, I believe, are not being practiced anymore. And we
No.
would think, oh, them hard on us and them no listen. But they knew that if they did not set that in place for us to mirror in our lives, we would have turned out to be a problem to
Mm.
somebody, because
Yeah.
we become problems to each other. A woman not raised right, we become a problem to the man who was raised right. All kind of stuff happens, and this
Right.
dynamic here is not easy to manage.
Yeah.
So
A part of
men,
it.
and I think, one sec, Jack, I think men, when you don't step up to, and when step up is relative, because you can have two crackers and step up, and you can have a million crackers.
War. Yes.
Right? But
Right.
if you don't step into your role and say, well, boy, because some women have strong personalities, and it's
Yes.
either
Mm-hmm.
you're going to match it or you're going to fall over flat on your face.
Mm-hmm.
I must say to you that sometimes it's better for the man to just send the money and stay away.
Well,
I'm
I saw that
You have a
Pastor
point,
Mike
Pastor.
going on.
I'm a pastor, and I deal with a lot of those cases
Yeah.
because the damage that when they can't make peace and
Mhm.
accept the reality of their situation, and of course there's also the part of the abuse and the hurt and the unforgiveness and all that stuff that be tied up in this thing, that sometimes it's better for him just to
To
send
stay away.
send the
Wow.
money and let her raise the child than to be in the child's life creating havoc, because
Havoc.
it damages the child. And,
Yes.
and most of when a child is in that from 0 to about 10 years, that they need to be in a stable environment,
Mhm.
because that's when the foundations are being laid in them. And
Yes.
we do ministry of inner healing and deliverance also in our ministry. And when you see even older people, when they come in for this kind of a ministry, you find out that the negative impact in their lives happened around the 5-6 years.
Formative years.
Yes.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mhm.
Formative years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned the stability part, because as a single mother myself, that was one of the reasons I did everything that I could to keep from not moving up and down to a different homes. So I worked 2 jobs, 2.5 jobs sometimes when I was in New York, to make sure my son had a stable environment, and he always talked about that. He always talked about, those were his best times. I was like, oh, could it be his best times when it was just me and him and auntie, and we could barely find food sometimes? But he said, Mom, I was happy.
Yeah, it was stable.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was happy. And he didn't miss having his father in his life because I created that environment and I decided that I wasn't going to move up and down. So we moved one time and that was it.
Mhm.
And he loved it. That was really good for him. He talked about it all the time.
So
So
Well, can I jump in real
yes,
quick?
go ahead, Michael.
I wanna, Jackie, I wanna, it's an incredible thing, that you were able to do for your son, to provide for him and keep things stable for him. That's a very important thing to do.
thank you.
And having grown up in, and primarily in a single parent home myself, my dad was in and out and around, and he wanted to be more present, but he couldn't because of, just like you were saying, Pastor Glad, just the kind of the warfare that was going on between my parents, other circumstances. But I want to jump in and say one thing, Jackie, that you said was that he didn't miss the presence of his father in his life.
He did.
Right? He did.
He
He
did.
did.
He did.
I probably shouldn't put it that way.
Right.
Mhm.
And,
But
and I
that,
think sometimes no, and I know you didn't mean, you meant to say, you were saying that
yeah.
you did everything you could to make sure you
Right.
Yeah, because he already had that part missing. So I tried to create stability that way.
Right.
So,
Right.
it
And I
wouldn't be
think
so harsh.
Right. And I think that some of the, our language, right, and some is important around that too, because even though you picked up the slack, there intrinsically there was some he could have
Yeah.
and should have
Yes.
had
Yeah.
that he did not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Michael,
Definitely. I agree.
if I may jump in quickly, as you said that,
Mhm.
Michael, she said I was about to say that, and I said especially mothers, they're here, big up to the mothers who father the children. Say no, they mother their children. A mother can't father a child.
Mhm.
Because, and why I say this is that you growing up as a mother, as a woman, because that's all you are.
Right.
So you can only transfer those values to him. You can't transfer male values because you're a woman. So I'm going to simple case. I'm going to tell you. Mothers are very nurturing and they are sometimes overprotective. Father, I want to tell you, my wife always say, "Oh, if it was up to me, Ethan and Shani would learn to ride a bike early." Me, so I would step on there and say, "Hey, boy, get a bike. Boy, go and ride it. Boy, go and drop him. Boy, go and bruise him shoulder, him foot up.
And get up and move and get up and go on ahead. Yeah.
All right.
Right?
Uh-huh.
And this is what I'm saying. These are the things are qualities that a man will bring because he's a man.
Yes.
Woman can bring it
Yes.
by virtue
Yes.
of
Yes.
who we are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
you're correct.
agree.
But you know what? There are instances, and there are many instances, numerous instances, where the women are left to raise the children. It could be that the dad has passed. It could be, God
Mhm.
forbid, the high rate of incarceration that we have, particularly among, I don't go for minority. But people of color, put it that way, brown men, black men, they're not in the home, not because they don't want to be, but because of missteps they took, because of whatever. They're not in the home. And so the woman, she's doing the best that she absolutely can do.
Of
And
course.
and like our deacon there, our brother Burke there is saying, she can't she'll mother him, nurture him. She can't be a father.
Father.
Women have had to go as far as, like you referred to the incident with the young man in the toilet. You don't have the equipment to show him
Thank
how
you.
to
Yes.
go at the routine like a man would. So regardless of what the outcome is, a woman has to try to be, I've seen women, have to even get a male role model. That woman might be so
Yes.
scarred by a failed
Mhm.
relationship. She might
Yeah.
say, "Well, I'm gonna stay single, but let me get a role model." Because like Michael is a great mentor for the youth, and so if you can get a mentor, because you can do so much and no more,
More.
and the child will suffer because God has so designed it that it should be two parents, the man and the woman. So when a
Mhm.
part is missing and the woman is overcompensating for the missing part,
Hmm.
that part is still, even if a child would
Yeah.
say, "I'm okay, mom. I see what you're doing and I'm okay. I can live without the other part."
Mm.
It's never okay
Mhm.
because we are so designed
Mhm.
to require the other
There,
missing part.
yeah, there's some things that I taught him. I would go out and play ball with him or whatever, but there's still certain things that I couldn't. And sometimes when he and I talk, these are some of the things that he would say. There are certain things that I couldn't teach him, or he
Yes,
wished that he wasn't so calm with certain things, because I try to tell
yes,
him that you can't fight, you can't use your fist and all of that, because he was bullied at school to the point where he had to go to counseling. And
Mm.
I told him that you have to use your words. He's a very good speaker now, I guess, because of that. But he also wished that he could have expressed himself more physically, because
Which
he
is
thinks that that would even
yes.
manifest into
You
him
can't deny
being.
the
But
testosterone. You can't deny
right,
Right.
testosterone. That is why I like to see when a man can, like Mother Burke was saying about, the boy going fall off and bruise up. With women, we would
yeah.
pet them and say, "Oh, it hurt, come." And
Oh
a
I
man
my.
say, "Boy,
honestly,
get up
Not the mom.
I
and
honestly
Put
let him
him
fall
behind
off of that
yeah,
bike, and if he
and
mash
be
up
a,
and all of that, I say, boy, get up and come. I'll do that.
Right.
yeah,
Him drop off in
Mhm.
yeah,
the bike, scrape up, and his
And
skin
just
is
internet,
light.
I
So
think,
him
and just
scrape
I
up.
guess that's what Pastor Glad was saying. But we're saying, Sharon, that inadvertently women are going to be left with the task of raising their boys on their own or their children on their own. And I think that's
Mhm.
where
mhm,
Pastor Glad was saying that is what now we need now to align them with a male figure, just like
Yes,
yes,
somebody like Michael,
right.
us in the church, whatever. And I think this is where. And it's funny, you say we were talking about the same thing in church the other day that we used to have the boys' club and stuff like that. This is where we need
Those kind of support.
organizations that are coming exactly
Mhm.
to try and kind of fill that gap. That a boy see a man and see this is how a man operates.
Mm.
Because let me tell you something. It's a fact that, and it's intrinsic, that got boys, children, especially boys, but children respect men.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
went
They
to a house.
respond to the bass in the voice.
Listen, I
yeah,
went to
Yes,
a house. I went to a house. I was doing some work. And there's a child, he was about 2, 3 years old, and he came down the step. And his mother said, "Oh, don't get in the way of the worker. Go back in."
Would move.
John, get back up. He came down the stairs one morning and I just looked at him and said, "Hey, don't come down here.
that
Mhm.
was it.
Believe me."
You got it.
Uh-huh.
But
yeah,
Boy,
and
if you come up on me, I'd lick off your head.
it's just,
Right.
as you said earlier, it was designed for us to be like that. And
Yes,
as
yes,
Pastor said, it's
yes,
the falling away of man. But at the same time, and this is my thing, is that we can't keep going saying it's because of that. We have to find a way to fix it.
yeah,
How can we make amend
yes,
now? Because as I always said, today is the first day of the rest of our life. So let's forget what happened. Let's see how we correct stuff and move on. Because there's still a generation and generation, coming after that. We need, because you know what? Let's be honest. The generation that we have now, whether we like it, yes or no, we created them.
Mm.
Mhm.
yeah,
Seems so.
yeah.
Okay, so I'd like to just say two things. Jackie, you said your son is kind of mild mannered.
Yes, he's a good
Yeah,
kid.
well, that's a great advantage for him for
Mhm.
the marketplace that we're in right now, because as you know, um, that that the stereotype is that us black men
Yeah.
we're aggressive and all that stuff.
Yes.
That does not play
And he
well
has a way of
for us.
he can he's personable. He can
Connect
speak
with
to
people.
connect with people, even the harshest person,
There you go.
and he'll have a good conversation with them.
That's a
And
great advantage for him. My son is like that too.
yeah,
He's mild mannered. He's a big guy, but he's very
yes,
mild
Christoph is a big guy,
and so he
manly, but
right.
he's
so he cuts across.
Mhm.
He can go
yeah.
into the white environment and function, and so that's an advantage to him.
All right, so let's hop on over to the chat very quickly and see what's going on over there. Andrea says, my father taught me how to use my knife and fork and set the table.
Wow.
See,
Yes. Good morning, Cher. Good to see you. All righty. Then we have, okay, so Everell says, yes, Michael, my father died when I was very young. I still wish he was part of my growing up.
See.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Then we have Jerome. Hey, Jerome, he's in Connecticut. He says, yes, a lady shared that she got in a bad relationship because she was looking for a man to be a father role that she didn't have.
Yeah, that
Mm-mm.
happens
And that
That
yeah,
happens
happens.
to a lot of
That
people.
happens.
So,
a lot.
the comical one, Herman, says nowadays we've got to be very careful how and why and when where we try to correct other people's children. That's why people turn a blind eye to what they do outside of the home environment. Lawsuit as well as child abuse are popular sayings in our societies. As a result of these things, will definitely continue to fall apart.
Absolutely. I wanted
Yeah.
to also say to a point that is we have to be careful to monitor those who invite in even a mentorship role. We have to
Yes.
be very
Yes.
careful
Yes.
Yes.
who we
That's true.
invite there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
hmm
Agreed, Pastor Glad. Because
Yes.
no matter at what level and
Mm.
their discipline
Right.
in mentoring, you have to figure out the spirit of the person
Right.
and
Oh
what
yeah.
they're coming with. Because messages are channeled and we can make it sound very colorful and nice.
Yeah.
But what's
Yeah.
behind?
Yeah,
Yes,
and us women
who is that
have to be
person?
very mindful as to who we bring into the homes of, with these young men who are, when you're a single mother. And that's one thing I was really mindful of. When I talk about the stability, that was a part of it. I never brought anybody into my home or introduced anybody. This is uncle this or this. No, my son never saw that.
Oh dear. Yeah.
Yeah.
He never
Yeah.
saw that.
That
It
happens
was
a lot of times
he
when
and
yeah.
I for years, just me and him and auntie, but I take him to church and he got involved in church and he could even if there was a Methodist church close to me, even when it was at work, and because it was a church that was close to the house, I sent him there. I said, go to the
Mhm.
church. It's not a church that I'm used to, but you can get some mentorship there. Go there with him. I see how they operate. I say, you go to church. I had to go to work. You go down to church, right down there. So walking can just walk and then walk back. But I put him in Boy Scouts to
Mhm.
help him with the other things, especially that I couldn't do.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So Aldit says, morning Aldit, while mothers aren't fathers, how ironical is it that when the young man grows with his grandma, the lessons stay for life in a great way and reference is usually made about grandma. That is true.
That is true.
Yeah. Yeah.
True.
Very true.
Absolutely.
Charles, he says, my father taught us how to be strong and be able to take care of ourselves. Yeah, so stay with us, please don't leave.
Yes.
I'm taking a quick break and we'll be right back.
Change the atmosphere of your worship experience with Creative House LED Video Wall. Financing is available. Easy monthly payments, $0 down, 3-year warranty, and 24/7 customer service. We provide you with high quality, high refresh rate, and stable LED screens. Call Creative House at 914-510-4546. That's 914-510-4546. Or visit our website at www.cre8ivehouse.us.
Welcome back. We're celebrating International Men's Day. Tomorrow will be the actual celebration, November 19.
Right.
But it's Saturday Morning Runnings, and we have to do our thing here on this platform. This morning we have Pastor Glad Johnson. Pastor Glad is our administrative pastor at New Testament Temple Church of God. Michael Nelson, he's teacher and youth mentor. And we have Eaton Burke, he's also a deacon at NTT, New Testament Temple. We're having really good discussion this morning, and we'd like to thank
Yes,
our viewers for participating
absolutely.
as
Absolutely.
always. Let me hop on over quickly to Sister Morrison. She says, I grow my son without a father. I did not grow him to be a softie. I let him be a boy. I could not be a dad, but I try my best. I buy my bike. When he fell off, I send him right back on it. I said,
Exactly.
Be tough.
I said, be tough.
Good. Very good. Very
That's true. Now, we understand it, and Michael said it, that you find women, we aspire for academia. We want to be have we PhDs, we doctorate, we want to get good job, we want to do all the good things. And
Mhm.
sometimes we may find ourselves, talking to men who are they're not at the same level. And some men have also taken such a position. They literally resent you,
Mhm.
for aspiring to such high levels,
True.
and but they don't try to measure up. Many of us will tell men that, hi, if you're the best janitor, if you're the best banker, if you're the best plumber, and you are good at your craft, we don't mind.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
sometimes, and we don't mind, and you have to be honest at the onset that I don't mind, because sometimes what we
Mhm.
do is we start talk to you, and by the time we see say, boy, it now go really work out, we start to tell you, like, why you not go a class, go evening class. And it's true. So by then he's
Yeah.
looking at you and saying, but you did say, I could accept you. You would accept
You're
me.
superficial.
Nah. So a lot of men have fallen by the wayside. We find that they're imprisoned, bad influence, all of that. But women continue to
Yeah,
do
there's a
so.
lot of odds they have to overcome.
Yes. So how are the men being encouraged that at whatever level you're good at, whether it's skill or in the literary world, what you need to do so you can not feel like me can't talk to the girl over there. So because men self-esteem and
Hmm.
ego get bruised
Yeah.
Have
easily.
you ever
Right.
have you ever heard the term passport guys
No, I've
or
never heard.
passport boys?
No.
That is a term
What's
that's
that mean?
becoming popular, and I never heard it until 2 weeks ago. My son and one of his coworkers were here, and we were talking. I said, "What is that?" We were, yeah, they were talking, and I got into the conversation. Whatever. The passport guys are saying that they are not going to build their family from any woman in this side of the world. So they have their
Oh.
passports. They have their passports ready, and they are going to places like Asia and Africa to find their wives
Mhm.
because they are not getting the
Okay.
respect
They're
that
doing
they.
the mail order bride. You remember that the mail order bride was
Right.
a big thing, and it still exists,
Yes, yes, but
That you
these are
do
the
have men who
passport guys,
decided, yeah.
and I'm talking about young
Okay.
guys. My son is 24.
So
His
what is
friend
it
is
called?
24. Passport guys or
Eh,
Passport guys?
or
yeah.
passport
Okay.
boys. Passport.
So
What
You heard it,
happened?
exactly.
Eton? You
So
heard it,
how
What
Eton?
happened? What happens? The guys are saying, especially they are moving, especially to Eastern. It's like so they are saying
Yes,
that the female here are so socialized Western pressure and
yeah,
values. So it's harder to build with them here because of the expectations, because of Western pressures
yes,
and values.
and
So
they're
it's easier to go
serious.
for it. And they're serious about it. I've seen a lot of them, young men, who have
Yes.
pulled up roots and have decided
No,
to
and they're young men. You don't see them with any woman wherever they desire to have a woman, but this is their desire to get their passports, have their passports ready, work up their money, and they're going to places like Asia, what you call it, in Japan,
Even
China,
Africa.
where, and
In
Africa.
the
No,
east
not
side, yeah.
yet.
Oh,
Africa,
well,
because he
if I
said
may,
he's going to Africa. My son said he's going to Japan.
you know,
I said,
All
what's
right then.
going on?
when my son was ready to reach the time to get married, I said to him, son, at the time I was in a church in New Rochelle. I said, son, I want you to come because he was there he was in Arizona, and he was pretty much around mostly Caucasian women and stuff. So you need to come to New York. There's a lot of
Very
nice,
nice black woman.
beautiful women in the church. So I got him to come over, and the girl, the lady said to me, said, Pastor, your son can manage New York women.
Oh God.
Before I know it, he went back to Arizona and called me and told me that he fell in love with a beautiful Caucasian woman.
Okay.
So,
Mhm.
you know, so you
Yeah.
have
I
all
mean,
of these dynamics going on there, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah, I tell you, it's tough for men. There's been a few things that have been going on in popular conversation around men and women and dating, right, and how they relate. And there was the popular I guess a video that went out of a guy who was taking a girl out on a date, and he took her to Cheesecake Factory, and
Oh
and
yeah.
she wouldn't get out of the
Yeah.
vehicle, like, and police had to come
Really?
to, yeah, because
Yeah,
she
she
wasn't,
wasn't having it. Yeah, I saw it.
Cheesecake
exactly, was not
Factory
on her
not
list
high
of
enough.
locations. Yeah,
Cheesecake Factory not
No.
high enough.
Oh,
right. And
You know.
Yeah.
I was reading some articles, and I was reading an interview between Iyanla Van Zandt, and this social media star.
yeah.
A business, and she's very popular, and they were talking about relationships and how it's hard for women to have relationships, and it's like, and they were talking about the women's masculine energy, and
Mhm.
how their masculine energy was was pushing men away, and how
Yes.
if if a man, as they were having, there was a question being asked, and she said, would you, if a man drove a bus, would you date, like, he was a good man, would you date him?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, if he owned the bus, right, and
Right, stuff like that. The guys are talking about.
right, and I think,
Yes.
Yeah.
right, and like, well, that's not a bad thing. The
Yeah.
conversation was, okay, let's be realistic. We know in today's, in society today, there are ways in which men, we know women have achieved a little more, and men may be really good on the level that they're at. So if you want a good man, and maybe financially he's not at the same place, right, would you still love him and accept him for where he's at, like Lady D was saying,
Mm-hmm.
but the other side of the conversation was like, in this world, black women are the only group, generally speaking, that we ask to date below maybe their socioeconomic sort of situation. We don't ask
Their
other people
status.
to do necessarily their status to do the same thing.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
why is it that we ask women to dip, and why aren't we pushing men up? And I think both are important points to bring up. That sure, we don't know, you don't necessarily need to be superficial, but I don't think it's superficial 100% to say, no, I want
Right.
a man you, and it may not be about where you start, right? Because maybe
Right.
you're a man who
Right.
starts in the bus, but are you showing ambition, right?
That's
What is
it.
the men
Right.
that
Yeah,
are you showing
because
Right.
now
ambition?
you have
Right.
there is some amount of role reversal these days.
Right.
You know
Yes.
what I mean? Because look here, we all have different brains, and love is love. What if you are coming up from, I mean, as somebody who I've been with my husband all my life, so I really don't I'm not coming from a place of experience, but I've known like
God bless
persons
you that you
too.
don't have to deal with this dating situation. Honestly, that is
I
that
know,
is
but at the same time, I talk to a lot of women, and I have a lot of women friends, And sometimes the dynamic with them is that they have met a man, or a gentleman, or whatever age they might be. Most times they are younger, like probably in your age group, Michael. And the girl, having known from the get-go what she wanted, she has pursued her education. She probably has 1 or 2 degrees, and the other, the partner now is on the path, or the person has stopped at a certain juncture and said, well, I'm not going any further. Maybe they have a skill, a trade, and the woman has said, okay, fine, no problem. I've known a young lady. She became a doctor, and her husband was a security guard.
Mm-hmm.
But she said, well, it is what it is. And they have a beautiful marriage, and they're doing very well. It's been several years. So in some circumstances or situations, that the man might be intimidated because the woman has this job, or a
Right.
woman, or speaking about a woman, sometimes the woman want the man to be the one who have achieved,
Mm.
and they want to be arm candy, and not necessarily somebody who is gonna bring any of the bacon. They want
On
to
the
be able
table,
to get
right.
the bacon, but they ain't gonna make the bacon. So sometimes the thing gets a little muddy, the situation gets a little muddy there because of the expectation, but roles are reversed all the time. And you have the term Mr. Mom, where men, depending on how many children you have and the frequency at which your children were born, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
a man, depending on how much they make, if the woman is making more for the household,
She
she
stays
will then
home.
decide, or they will come to a decision that
Mhm.
she will go out and bring in the finances while he stay
Right.
home. Or he might be able to cook and she can't cook so well, because you have girls who never stop to be able to store a button, make a meal, because they're doing book work and pursuing degrees. So sometimes, we just have to go with the flow, and people are people. And if you find somebody who you're compatible with, don't be shallow or superficial and say, well, he's only so and so and I'm so and so, because we're
Right.
not better,
Right.
you know.
Mhm. So,
Uh, if I,
to bring it home, it's 16 after 11, and we end at 11:30. So to bring it home, Michael, Pastor Glad, and Eton, what is our messaging out in the world today?
Okay, so I uh, try your best to for us men to live up to our responsibilities of men. I'll close with a story. I recall back in the day, I had a barber. He was my barber. I used to go to him all the time. One day he told me a story. He had a sound system, and he used to go to the club and play music after he finished working. And so his wife kept saying to him, your son needs your attention. You need to come home and talk to the boy. And he said to me, he says, I eventually she got to me, so I decided I'm going to go home early that evening and I'm going to deal with the boy. So he got home and he stood before the boy, and before he could open his mouth, the guy knocked him out.
Oh,
Wow.
Jesus.
He said the thing that shocked him is that he in his mind he was going home to spank a little boy.
mm-hmm.
oh,
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
The boy,
well, I grew up.
the
I
boy
yeah,
grew up
grew up
playing.
and knocked him
Girl,
out.
without him even seeing. Without
yes.
him
It
even
was too little too
noticing.
late.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when my son got to the point where he was being rude to his mother. And so I told him that story. I said, listen, my friend told me that his son knocked him out. But let me tell you this, I'm gonna throw the first punch. I'm not gonna let you knock me
All
out.
right, Pastor. Get the message quickly.
So he went crying to his mother and he was saying,
Oh,
Daddy says he's gonna knock me out. That's where I am today.
Right. Thank you, Pastor Glad. All right, Michael.
Yeah, I think the message I would leave is, yeah, absolutely, that men are necessary, and um and men and women are men are leaders, and men and women are supposed to stand side by side to love and to protect and nurture this next generation. And I would say that we need to our men and boys, they in a lot of ways, we have to raise them to be men, but men don't, the things fundamentally that men need, then they're not so different than even what women need, right? Like you need love, you need care,
First of all, yeah.
right, and to feel safe, right, to feel like you can be who you are, right, and you need both a woman and you need a man, and need a father, you need father figures to help you to grow into that, in so many ways.
Yeah.
Women they can point to aunties and grandmothers and all of these women in their lives, and friends and sister friends, right, who are part of their identity building, and
Their village.
the
Yeah.
village. And men need the same thing. They need their boys, their brothers,
Yeah.
they need their coaches, they need their pastors, their teachers, men, they need all of those things to form and shape them into the men that they're supposed to be. So
Yes.
men need a village, and so that they can be whole, not just heavy lifters, right? But whole emotionally, spiritually, mentally,
Yes.
and all
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you,
Yes.
Michael. Ethan.
Well, I just want to say that, as Michael said, that men and women have the same basic needs. But I'll tell you this about men: a man don't need so much of a woman loving him. What a man needs is respect more than anything else. So I am saying, but my thing about it, respect is something earned.
Yeah.
So our men, this is my take, our men need to start doing what we are supposed to do to earn back the respect of our women.
I agree.
Yeah.
And that's just my take.
Agree.
That's what it is.
Right.
And I'm encouraging our men, as Michael said, be an uncle, be a bigger brother to a guy when you go out. And it's easy. I've seen them all the time. I've seen the kids, a couple of them gather, they should be in school, and see they're making their little spliff, and I say, hey, pull up. What are you doing? And it's spirited which you talk to them, you don't talk down, you talk with them, and it helps. They pass me sometimes where coming, they hide or they run away. It means that I'm getting to them. Something has run up. That's what it is. And later, I love for us to have another topic. And I want to talk seriously about emotional intelligence with men, because it's killing us. Men
Yes.
don't talk. And we'd love
We have to do an extension to the show.
Yeah.
No problem. Thank you. So let me just post here. 1 minute, Jack. Here is Lalita saying we have to teach these men to stop walking out on their children. We have to celebrate them more and encourage the absentee fathers to play a more pivotal role in their family.
Yeah.
And that is something that plagues.
Absolutely.
It plagues our culture.
Yeah.
We're not sure why, if it's unpreparedness, because we know if people not prepared to start family, somebody's gonna jump ship. Everything.
Yeah,
seems
but
overwhelming.
sometimes men. I mean, I know women can make it very difficult. I will acknowledge that, but men need to realize that when they divorce the mother, or when they leave the mother, they don't leave the children.
Right.
The children suffer,
Exactly.
because I've seen it, and I'm sure you all have seen it,
Yes.
where
Yes.
it's impossible for the man and the woman to get along. It's puss and dog. We're not gonna make it. Oil and water. We're not gonna make it. That's
Yeah.
understood. But at
But
the
your
same time,
children.
realize that your children
You have
need
to
you.
have a
So whether you
relationship.
need, yeah, and that is sometimes people give like child support and family court a bad rap. I've heard men giving, when I did payroll for my company, sometimes the guys would come in and they would say, change this, change that, because I'm not paying this, I'm not paying that. And I'm like, look, you have to realize that the children, they need nurturing and they need care. So if you step off and you keep going, sometimes the court, the court is supposed to be there
Yes.
to be a mediator between
Later.
yourself. It's not just for the mom, but if you don't show up, that's how the woman will get a more upper hand. You know what I mean? And then you can petition the court as well for visitation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Whether you take them to a mutual, a place where there's a third party there. I've known people to even have to drop kids off at precincts,
Mm-hmm.
how bad the
Yes.
relationship is. They know every
Mhm.
other Friday or Saturday, they drop the kid off at the precinct, and the parent, the father, or generally
Mhm.
will pick up the child. But whatever you need to do, try your best to remain in your children's lives, because these children grow up, and when they come out to be successful in whatever way, shape, or fashion, you then say, well, the child don't remember me, he ain't do nothing for me, everything is his mother. But if you stepped away
Mm-hmm.
and you kept going, you stepped away.
Yes.
Sometimes you have to step away for your mental health, but you
Mhm.
step away, but you keep stepping, you don't go back.
Mhm.
Then you have taken yourself away from out of the child's life, and sometimes another man comes in, fulfills that role, and then no, you have some, you feel offended, but hey,
Mhm.
you're the one who kept going. So the court, if that is your situation, the court works both ways. You can petition the court as well, in
Mhm.
order to be able to be in your children's lives, remain in their
Right.
lives, and make sure
Insist.
that they come out right.
Mm-hmm.
They come out good as
Insist.
best.
Right.
Right.
We
Mhm.
can't, and we can't help but to highlight that there are some men or some young men who are making a difference in their communities and
Agree.
in their being great mentors.
Yes.
I just want to make reference to a few months ago, in my district where I'm from, Free Hill, St. Anne district. There were a few little things going on with some young men in the district, and this one young man decided to form a group and just started to invite people to join the group, join a WhatsApp group, because we need to take back our district, and we didn't realize where it was going. That group is now about 400 or 500 or 600 strong.
Wow.
Mhm.
People who are abroad and people who are and have made so much difference in the district. People who needed, we didn't even know that one of the young men in the district, he needed a wheelchair, his house needed fixing, and he gathered up the young men, and everybody went and they started to fix this young man's house. My
Mhm.
mother got a hold of it. She was here. She was going down. She told the church they gave her a wheelchair to bring down for him, and she
Mhm.
donated it. And he gathered up some people again. The bus stop needed a light. We have never had a light in that district from I was born. And he went, got the light, and put up the light.
Mhm.
Somebody died, they needed to dig the grave, and this other man died, and none of his family came to claim his body or anything, and he took it over along with the group of us and people from the district, and that man got a burial.
Mhm.
So there are people who are, so
Yes.
Conrad Morris, I'm calling him by name. I told him that I'd like to highlight him because I think that he deserves it. He's a
Yes.
young man who have taken up this, and every Friday the less fortunate in the district gets food.
Mhm.
Yesterday, along with people in the district, my mother and other people, they put together and they made dinner. So every Friday, from a few weeks ago, it started. So every Friday, the less fortunate and shut-in people, and Conrad, and yesterday Benton and Conrad, and they went around and they feed these people every
Wonderful.
Friday. So
Yes.
we thank God for men like Conrad and
Mhm.
Bam and and Benton and all these young men. They're young men like Michael. So
Mhm.
they're making a difference. So we
Mhm.
thank God for them.
And Jackie,
Wonderful.
just you said that just is a fact. So many times we be cry the ones who are doing that and thing, and we make a big deal, but we don't mention the ones who
Yes,
are making the positive contribution. And we
yes,
need to do that because what it does
yes,
is show other young men that listen, I can aspire to be that too.
Yes.
yes.
So thanks again,
Right.
Yes,
and it's
there
very
has
good.
been such a change, so much love. People are just pouring out and giving because of that. Just him starting. So let's start a group. Let's take our
Mhm.
community back. And let me tell you, it's positive.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow.
I mean,
positive.
look at the Deacon Burke and Pastor Glassman. These are men who are pillars in the society and in their local church and who are looked up to and so and you all know men and have been have had men in your lives and so that have taught you how to be who you are and
Yeah.
so I think we are here, right?
Yeah, we need to highlight them so they know that we do appreciate what they're doing.
Right.
Like that, and all the young men who have had negativity, happen in their lives. If they do something right, even one time, highlight that. Just encourage them because
Yeah.
that will encourage them to continue to do good.
Oh, thank you so much. So let's just wrap up with acknowledging the comments here. So, okay. So, so Jackie.
I don't know if that's the place you want to go to find your. Don't bring your passport there, Ryan.
Right. Just
We
give
need
me.
counseling. We need to counsel him before he makes that decision.
Yeah, let's talk to him. He needs a mentor.
I never knew all this was. I thought, I didn't.
It's a big thing, Jackie. It's a big thing.
I didn't know until they mentioned
The
it.
one Evan him said, "No,
Yeah.
Cheesecake Factory, my favorite place." Oops.
Oops.
Sorry, Evo.
Marcel says,
Oh
"Man
my
should live up
God.
to their responsibility always through Christ Jesus." Amen. All right. He says, "Well said, gentlemen. Thanks, ladies. I feel the love." Okay. Here comes our girl now. She says a man should show that he is the man in the house, the father in the house, without being overtly abusive.
Of course.
Mhm. That's right. And Sister Morrison says, "You are talking up the thing, me sister. Some men leave them children too, but when they grow up, they want to claim." Mhm.
Want to reap with him, no so.
Mhm. Yes.
They sow it, they just don't water it. They sow it and left it.
Cher says some women need to be careful about the men they are chasing as partners.
We all do.
Yeah,
That's
Yes,
true.
that is true.
absolutely.
Carissa says, as women, especially women of color, we need to encourage and build up our men, even when they're struggling or wrong, rather than make them the villain, because, like Michael said, we're both so essential.
That's
Absolutely.
Yes.
We can't make a baby by ourselves. We need
No.
our men.
Yep, we
So
need the men,
no
yeah.
matter what you say, we need
Yeah.
our men.
we
Yes.
need each other.
Yeah,
We need each other.
Okay.
we
All
do.
right. So that's pretty much it. But we would like to say thanks this morning, Pastor Glad, Michael,
Absolutely.
and Ethan for
Thank
joining us on the platform. And we agree that there should be a follow up to this
Oh,
conversation
this
and to
is like,
highlight people who are doing
yes.
well in our communities.
And for these gentlemen to come back.
Yes, if they can. We appreciate it and your insightfulness. We appreciate that very well. To
Yeah.
our audience, as always, we thank you. Cher says artificial insemination. That's another matter.
Oh my, oh my,
Still need the
oh
man.
my.
Still need the source of the seed.
Exactly.
Jerome says, I never leave my children. Janae now 25 and Jordan 18. I live separately from them. Okay. But they're still a part. You're still a part of their lives. International Men's Day is tomorrow. Please acknowledge the men in your communities, in your families,
Yeah.
etc. And let them know that we are in your corner. We're in your corner.
Yes.
We want to see your light shining brightly, so that we know that we can send little Johnny to go talk to Mass Tom. Hi, without fear
Yeah.
of any kind. Yes. So thank you. We receive your final comments, gentlemen, and we appreciate it. And looking forward to be back here again, next Saturday morning with
Yes.
Saturday Morning Runnings right here on Inside the Zone with Lady D. Of course, Max wasn't able to join us today, and Jen, but
Yeah.
we know how to flow and ride.
All right.
So
Yep.
thanks everyone. And for those of you who are on and you have never subscribed, remember, as we always say, it's not money, it's just your finger. You can just gently tap, or you can just juke the word.
Uh-huh.
Subscribe.
Bye, everyone.
Okay.
It was a pleasure being here, and happy Thanksgiving
Please,
to all.
please come back. Please come back, Michael and Ethan. Please come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will.
You'll have me, I'll be back.
To all the amazing men out there, may your day be filled with joy, recognition, and the appreciation you truly deserve. Happy International
Absolutely.
Men's Day. And we're
Big
gonna
up all
try
the real
to we're gonna try to put some oomph to it. Okay?
Yes,
We're gonna
yes.
oomph it up. Yeah, we
Make
have
more
to. We
noise.
have to.
Make more noise about it so people know
Yes,
that
something.
it's a relevant day.
Absolutely.
You know,
So
if I make a suggestion, we did talk about a lot of the challenges today, which are important. I think the next time we definitely want to focus on Biggie, right, and telling the great stories. You know, bringing up,
Yeah.
like,
absolutely.
important strong men.
Thank you. So please subscribe before you go, and you can share it with at least 5 people. And I'm aiming to get to 1,000. We need to work harder, and I'm working on the back end to do something that we can take this channel to the next level. So please subscribe before you get off, and share it with at least 5 persons. But we're gonna come back next week, God willing,
Yes.
Amen.
with Satideh Mawnin Runnings. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everyone.
All
And
right.
happy
Bye-bye.
International Men's Day
That's all.
tomorrow. Blessings.
For 2 days, the 5 o'clock hour is hot on Fit FM 96.7, www.fitfmja.com. Your life, your music with Lady D, Denise Gomez, Inside the Zone. Catch me on Monday at 5 p.m. for the Monday Drive, keeping you in the know in the city you walk, drive, and reside. And on Friday, yes, at 5 p.m. for Center Stage, the platform where voices are heard and people connect. From abroad to yard, Trelawney. Hi, I'm Lady D Denise Gomez, and I have exciting interview segments and features inside the zone. For recording artists, you can sing? Well, Inside the Zone, second Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. is for you. Writers, share your story, no man, in From the Author Zone on third Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. Male Zone has unbelievably juicy stories of love, heartbreak, and triumph. 7 p.m. has never been this good. On Mondays, it's news, talk, engaging features at 7 in the Monday Drive. And Center Stage has everyone talking on Thursdays. Be a part of the show. Email me insidethezone@gmail.com or call me 914-304-2592. Change the atmosphere of your worship experience with Creative House LED Video Wall. Financing is available. Easy monthly payments, $0 down, 3-year warranty, and 24/7 customer service. We provide you with high quality, high refresh rate, and stable LED screens. Call Creative House at 914-510-4546. That's 914-510-4546. Or visit our website at www.cre8ivehouse.us.